welcome back to the David67 Celtic News YouTube channel. This late Monday evening video is going to be a preview of tomorrow evening's Celtic against Kairat Almaty second leg Champions League playoff round game. A winner takes it all game with £40 million Champions League money on the line, and a game that Celtic need to win and should win. And in today's video, we're going to have a wee look at my predicted lineup, predicted score, plus one or two wee bits of transfer news, and one or two wee thoughts secondary to Brendan Rodgers' press conference earlier today in Almaty in Kazakhstan, where he gave one or two wee updates on injuries and where Celtic are standing at the moment going into tomorrow evening's game against Almaty. So first thing first, Brendan Rodgers at his press conference confirmed that Adam Idah did travel with the squad. He was a bit vague as to whether Idah would be fit to be a starter, fit to be on the bench, fit to be on the bench for a brief spell at the end. But it is good news that Adam Idah is fit enough at least to travel, fit enough to train, although I didn't actually see him in the wee brief excerpt of Celtic's late night training session on the pitch they will be playing on Tuesday evening. However, I suspect that Idah might well be on the bench to come on late in the game or even in extra time if the game goes that far. Brendan Rodgers otherwise not really saying terribly much, saying he fully respects the Kairat Almaty team, which I wasn't massively sure from the first leg that he really did respect them that much. However, I think he does actually have a now much better chance of seeing how Almaty play close up. They are a good defensive team. They have got some pace and skill in their front players to hit Celtic on the break. I suspect, like Celtic, they both Celtic and Kairat Almaty have to win the Tuesday night game, and so both teams will be that bit more open, and I think that does leave Celtic a good opportunity to exploit the space in behind the Kairat Almaty defence. I suspect they'll be pushing their centre-backs and their full-backs a bit further up, less defensive in midfield, trying to get the ball up to their main strikers, Edmilson and Jorginho, and also trying to use the creative skills of Grimico in midfield to give the front players extra chances. Rodgers keeping his cards quite close to his chest as to how he's going to line up tomorrow, but he, in essence, was implying that there's no excuses. Celtic have travelled well, they're coping well with the heat, and the players certainly look very comfortable doing their late night training, although I guess the training session was probably a wee bit later than kick-off time. So tomorrow's game will be 5:45 p.m. kickoff, 17:45. Kazakhstan is 3 or 4 hours ahead of us, so it will actually be a late night game in Almaty. The game is live on Amazon Prime for viewers in UK and Ireland. That appears to be the only way of watching the game live. Celtic TV aren't able to show the game live. Only way to see the game live would appear to be Amazon Prime if you're in UK and Ireland. In terms of predicted team, I have the team that I think Brendan Rodgers will go with, plus there's one or two wee exceptions in terms of how I think actually Celtic should line up. So I think the way that Brendan Rodgers will line things up is Kasper Schmeichel obviously in goals, Anthony Ralston at right back, Cameron Carter-Vickers and Liam Scales in central defence, and Kieran Tierney at left back. I personally would go for Dane Murray in place of Liam Scales, simply because I think he's a bigger, stronger, faster defender, much better passing skills, who's happy to step forward a wee bit further into the midfield and pass long over the top or through the heart of the Almaty defence. I think that could well be an important tactic, as both Carter Vickers and Scales do tend to be quite lateral and backward with their passing. And I think actually having a centre back with good long range passing would all be very good options for the game against Almaty tomorrow. However, I am sure, as he usually does, Brendan Rodgers will go for Liam Scales as his left centre back. In midfield, I'm pretty sure Rodgers will go for McGregor, Negrin, and Hatate. I personally would use Engels in central midfield for his ability to go box to box, his ability to win the ball back in midfield, his energy to be all over the pitch, and also his ability delivering corners, free kicks, and potentially penalty kicks. However, I'm almost certain Rodgers instead will go with Benjamin Negrin in central midfield. I think that does lose a bit of Negrin's versatility, his ability to appear in the box as a second striker, his ability to be a true attacking midfielder, both of which he showed a great ability against Livingston on Saturday when he started out wide on the right. Did provide a threat down the right hand side on a regular basis, but quite often was cutting into the box as an attacking midfielder or second striker. And I think that also be a very good option for Celtic, with having Negrin having a slightly roaming role coming off the right wing. However, pretty certain Rodgers instead will go with Ha Young Yang out on that right hand side. I think there's a temptation for him to go for Forrest with Forrest's experience, but I think, as Yang proved in the second half, his extra pace and trickery troubled the Almaty defenders, and I think Yang will get the start. Personally, I would go for Daisen Maida through the middle, but I think he will go for Shin Yamada instead. Out wide and left, Rodgers, I'm sure, will go for Daisen Maida. I would be personally keen to use Nygren on the right and Yang on the left, with Maida through the middle. But I think Rodgers will take the safe way out and go with Maida out wide on the left, and hoping that his extra pace does get him in behind. And I think also Yamada's extra pace and good skills getting himself free in the box will also be very useful against Almaty tomorrow evening, either as a starter or coming on later in the game. In terms of our predicted score, I'm personally going to go for a 2-0 win for Celtic, especially if we get a good start. That's going to draw Almaty out of their defensive framework. I think they are going to attack more than they did at Celtic Park, which should open up space for our players to run into. But especially if we do get off to a fast start, get them under pressure, start making inroads out wide and through the middle, exploiting the pace, I think that Celtic will get away with a 2-0 win and through to the group stage. In terms of injury news for Kairat Almaty, they will be missing their number one goalkeeper, Zarutski. He injured his leg at Celtic Park and hasn't recovered. Also missing for them will be their star striker, Satpiev, the 17-year-old. He got himself a second yellow card at Celtic Park and so misses this leg. And they're also missing their longer-term injury absentees, Georgi Zaria, the Georgian attacking midfielder, and also their left back, Luis Mata. They both missed the first leg at Celtic Park, but both of them are very handy players. And for that reason, I think, again, there's a weakness potentially at left back for Celtic to exploit, as the deputies for Luis Mata are not nearly of his quality in that position. In terms of just one or two wee updates on Celtic's transfer situation, it was said that Mikael Onge Balikwisha of Royal Antwerp, the deal is being agreed at 5 million. The personal terms that agreed, and it was thought that he was coming to UK for a medical today, Monday. Nothing confirmed with that, although Brendan Rodgers in his press conference was suggesting by the time that they got back from Kazakhstan that Celtic should have signed one or two players by then. The other player that Celtic appear to be deep in negotiations and deal making with is a Uruguayan left back currently playing for Boca Juniors in Argentina, a player called Marcelo Saracchi. Played in quite a number of different European countries. The indications are this is going to be a loan deal for the season with a £2 million buy clause at the end. He certainly is a very experienced player. Played for RB Leipzig, played for Galatasaray, played for Levante in Spain, played for a couple of different Uruguayan teams, and has been playing for Boca Juniors, although has dropped down the pecking order there, and they are keen to move him on, and he's keen to try European football elsewhere, and so it does look like that deal might well be going through later in the week, and appears to be a loan deal with a £2 million clause to buy him at the end. One definite player leaving Celtic is the Australian wide player Marco Tilio. He has moved to Rapid Vienna on a 4-year deal. Transfer fee is £1.3 million. The initial plan had been to loan him to Rapid Vienna with various different clauses for loan fees and purchase prices, but now Celtic and Rapid Vienna have agreed a firm £1.3 million deal, and Marco Tilio is now a Rapid Vienna player. I think this actually could be a move that Celtic regret in the long run. I think if Marco Tilio was able to get himself fit and adapting into the way of playing for Celtic, I think he would have been a very, very good player for Celtic. So much pace, so much ability coming off the wing into central areas. He significantly improved his finishing and his crossing and his creativity in his most recent spell in Australia when he was on loan from Celtic at the start of this year. And I think he actually was a very talented player when he signed for Celtic. Unfortunately, he got himself injured in the summer, never really established himself in Brendan Rodgers' book as a favourite, and got shipped off on loan a couple of times to Australia, and Rodgers has not really given him a chance to get his place back in the squad. And I really hope things turn out well for Marco Tilio in Austria, and I think in a year or two's time we might well see Marco Tilio moving to a much bigger European club, because I do think he's going to be a very successful player if he can keep fit in Austrian football. That just about finishes things off. No definite move in terms of any main strikers coming into Celtic, such as Muntiano of Cluj, Strelic of Slovan Bratislava, and no further moves as yet on Stengs from Feyenoord or Broom from Go Ahead Eagles, although I suspect Celtic are looking at a variety of deals and options over the course of this week as the transfer window gets closer and closer to shutting. So that just about finishes things off for this late Monday evening video, previewing tomorrow's game against Kairat Almaty, where it's a £40 million money, winner takes it all. And so as we go, just a wee polite suggestion, encouragement for those not yet subscribed to the channel, please do click that subscriber button. Keep the numbers going up and up and up, and do pop your own thoughts regarding the game tomorrow against Kairat Almaty, your own thoughts regarding a predicted score and predicted lineup as well. And so until the next video, goodbye. Good luck Celtic in beating Kairat Almaty on Tuesday evening, and hail, hail.